Hello, my name's Rob Edwards. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today we are firmly in the realms of speculation as I look ahead to Season 2 of Amazon Prime's Wheel of Time show. I want to talk about what I think might be coming in Season 2 based on my knowledge of the books and what happened in Season 1. Now, in fact, what happened in the books may not be entirely reliable given how much Season 1 diverged from Eye of the World. And while it is not known for certain, I think it is generally expected that Season 2 of the show is going to be more freely taking from multiple books. I think essentially it is going to be covering books 2 and 3, The Great Hunt and The Dragon Reborn. And to talk about this and to talk about my theories about what's actually going to happen in Season 2, I'm going to have to go full spoilers on the first 3 books of the series and, of course, Season 1 of the show as well. So if you've not read as far as the end of The Dragon Reborn, probably best to steer clear today. Let's get into it. Before talking about what I think is going to happen in Season 2, let me just be really clear about my knowledge of books 2 and 3. I have read both of them many times, multiple times, but it has been a hot minute since I've read either of them. I've not read The Dragon Reborn for at least, I don't know, a decade, more than that possibly. And while I have been listening to The Great Hunt in audiobook format, I'm only halfway through and constantly being surprised that things happened in book 2, which I thought might happen much later. Rand's journey to Carrion, I had not pegged it as being in The Great Hunt when I was thinking back to it. I remember the whole thing with throwing invites into the fireplace and all that side of things. That was not a surprise. The surprise was it happened in book 2. Anyway, so what I want to do is talk about the plot lines for our main characters. But before I get into that, there is one thing that we need to address. One thing we know is happening for certain. And that, of course, is the Seanchan. We saw their arrival at the end of Season 1. We absolutely know they are coming and bringing a whole load of implications with them. I think they are one of the more interesting parts of Jordan's world. I do love the fact that, I hate them, don't get me wrong. A lot of the things the Seanchan do are absolutely horrible, but they're quite interesting as well. And their approach to this kind of invasion that they're doing is really interesting, and I really hope we play into that. It's a little bit contradicted by this arrival at the end of Season 1 and throwing a tidal wave at the shore. They are supposed to be back here to invite people back into the Seanchan Empire, really. They're not supposed to be here to kill people. And the arrival with a tidal wave is kind of dramatic, but I suppose it may have just been making a point before they go and offer people the choice to join them or not. Let's talk now about some of the individual characters and what I think their plot arcs are likely to be in Season 2. We have 2 problems in books 2 and 3. They are the same problem with different characters. Essentially, in book 2, we spend a lot of time with Rand. We see a lot of what he's doing. We get to understand his point of view on a lot of things. But then he all but vanishes from book 3. His presence is felt, no doubt, but we do not get his point of view. We do not get to see his actions until we get to the finale in Tyr, basically. And likewise, in book 2, Moiraine more or less vanishes from the proceedings. So the show has 2 main characters at this point. Season 1 was set up as Moiraine's show. So we are absolutely going to want her to be doing things in Season 2. And we know now that Rand is the Dragon Reborn, and it seems really unlikely that the show is going to hide him away for an entire season. So this is one of the reasons I think they're going to combine books 2 and 3 for Season 2, because I genuinely think we are still going to see Rand's journey and also some of the stuff that Moiraine does in book 3. Moiraine's plotline complicated a little bit by what happened to her at the end of Season 1, but we'll come back to that. let's talk about Rand first of all. So Rand now believes that what Moiraine has told him is true, that he is the Dragon Reborn, and all of the implications that brings with it. We see him at the end of season 1, and it looks like he's doing sort of reverse Aiel, and having discovered that he's channeling, he's leaving the Blight and going to the Waste. Aiel male channelers go from the Waste to the Blight normally, and doesn't matter. I think that's a misdirection or a misinterpretation of what the show shows us, because I'm not entirely sure that at the end of season 1, Rand is turning towards the Waste. I think he's just turning towards another part of the Blight, which is not as weirdly forested with these weird sort of spider trees that they have. I'm pretty sure that Rand is going to remain on this side of the mountains, and he is going to return to the lands he knows. Basically, he knows nothing about the Horn. He knows nothing about what's going on in Faldara, but he does know that Moiraine has told him that he is the Dragon Reborn, and we've seen in season 1 that he knows at least a little bit about what that means, because he's at least aware of the Book of Prophecies that he saw, the Carathian cycle, something like that. He knows they exist. He must have read at least a little bit about them at some time, and I suspect he is going to try and find out more. And given that, I think what actually Rand is going to do is following much more of the Dragon Reborn, the Book 3 plotline. He is not going to be heading to Toman Head. He's not going to be heading off to fight against the Shonchan there. As things stand at the end of season 1, unless the show retcons what happened there, he has no reason to go there. I suspect he is going to make a journey south towards Tyr to find Kalandor and claim it for himself, to test this prophecy, to see how much of the prophecy is true, to see if it really does apply to him. And I think this overland journey is going to give us a chance to visit some of the stuff that happens to him in Book 2. I think he is going to encounter Selene. I think he is going to end up in Carrion. I think he is going to run into Tom again. And all of this stuff which happens in Book 2 will happen in Season 2, but his destination for this journey is going to be Tyr rather than Toman Head. And I think we're going to get the confrontation Mark II with Ishamael in Tyr. And I'm not sure whether we're going to get Belal, because I think Belal's in the Dragon Reborn. I'm not sure that we're necessarily going to see that. They are really paring back the Forsaken that they have to play with. And I think that's another one who may go by the wayside. Interesting, the end of books 2 and 3 for Rand are fairly similar in another confrontation with Ishamael in various different forms, combating across the sky and getting his palms scarred and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's going to happen, but it's going to happen at Tyr rather than at Toman Head. And I think that's Rand's arc. At the end of Season 2, he will not only be believing Moiraine's theory that he's the Dragon Reborn, but he will have shown it to himself. He will show that he is bound by the prophecies. The prophecies are working for him, and that brings a whole load of weight with it, both good and bad. Moiraine's storyline in Season 2, I think, is primarily going to be about dealing with the fact that she has been either shielded and tied off or stilled. Jury's still out on exactly what happened at the end of Season 1. I think maybe she will then follow signs of Rand. I think that we may actually find her at Tyr for the conclusion of this. I imagine that around about episode 6 or 7 of the season, Moiraine will get herself free of whatever is going on with her, and that she will be able to channel again and be able to at least briefly assist Rand at the end of his plotline at the end of the season. Since she can't go back to the White Tower, I think Maureen's story is going to take her to visit a few sisters who are out in the wilds, who are out in the world. There is talk of a yellow sister having been cast. I think that's a prime target for her to go and investigate. But she might also go visit the two sisters living on their farm and encounter a Drakkar there as well. That all happens in book 2. And I think then having found a solution to her problem, she will then lock back onto Rand, head south and meet with him in Tyr. Egwene and Nynaeve, they are going to the White Tower. There they will meet Elaine and they will re-encounter Min, I suspect. They will begin their training. We will see Nynaeve's accepted test, and we will see the friendship between Egwene and Elaine begin. Interesting that there's no rivalry for Rand at this point because Elaine has never met Rand. Unless we do this weird thing where Elaine says, oh yes, I met this boy who fell into our palace when he was in Caemlyn because he must have come through Caemlyn to get to Tar Valon. I don't think so, but could possibly be. But the big story for Egwene, of course, is that she is going to be betrayed, just like they are in Book 2, and sent to face off against the Seanchan and dropped in it by Liandrin, basically. And that is also, of course, where Nynaeve and Elaine and Min they're going to be the prime movers, I think, at Falmouth, at Tom and Head. They are the ones who are going to be dealing with the Seanchan threat, primarily in this case. But they are going to get help, I suspect, from Perrin. Perrin basically needs to make up for the fact that the Horn was taken on his watch. Not that he really has any responsibility for that, but he is going to feel that it is another one of a catalogue of errors that he's made in recent time, and he is going to want to reclaim it. And when I think Lord Agomar is still alive, when he sends Ingtar and Uno, who I also think is still alive, to go chasing after the Horn, I think we're not going to have Hurin. I think Perrin is going to have a big part in tracking the Horn. And he's going to be able to do that using the powers of his wolf brotherness. And this is where we're finally going to get to explore a little bit more about what this means for him. I think along this journey, he is going to encounter Elias from Book 1, and we are going to get more of an explanation, more of an understanding of what all this means for him. And he is going to be chasing off across the world to try and catch up with Fane, who has got the Horn and is taking it away. Possibly, this will also include, I quite like the theory, I've seen this theory in a couple of places, that Loial is still alive. We'd sort of know that. But the fact that he was stabbed with a dagger means that he is also now somewhat infected by the darkness of Shadar Logoth, and they need the dagger to heal Loial's wound. And maybe Perrin and Loial and Ingtar and Uno are the ones who are going to go chasing off after the Horn together to rescue the Horn and get a healing for Loial. I really hope Season 2 treats Perrin better. His story was the weakest element, I think, of Season 1 because he was so passive throughout. I think we have an opportunity here for him to shine a bit more, to actually make it forwards again. Will we encounter Fael this time? I think this is when probably that will happen. But that relationship's going to get to a slower start, I suspect, because the memory of his wife and his part in her death is going to be so fresh in his mind. Mat is an interesting one. Mat is a very interesting one because I'm really not sure what the show is going to do with him. I think, if I had to guess, I think it's going to become clear that Matt was not fully healed from the infection of the dagger, and that he is going to need that extra healing. And when the Red Sisters that Moiraine has set upon him find him and try and gentle him, they'll find nothing happens, but the influence is still strong. And I think this is where we might actually get to see what would actually just occur to me. What would be really nice at this point is if Liandrin would be part of saying, okay, this guy does not channel. We need to get him properly healed, and she could be part of the circle that heals him. I think that would fit with Liandrin and her backstory, because, the Shadow does not like the darkness of Shadar Logoth. So I think getting rid of that from the world is probably a good thing. I really hope that we get this healing scene with Matt, and that we see the Matt versus Gawain and Galad scene. I'm slightly worried that we won't, because we got a little bit of like that in one of the Wheel of Time Origins animations they released with Season 1, but I really hope we see it in live action with Matt. I think, if anything, that would be an amazing way to affirm Donald Finn as being a good fit for the character. If he can pull that off, I think a lot of people are going to be happy that we have Matt in that form and not Miss Barney quite as much. But I think then he's going to get into the whole being set by Nynaeve and Elaine and Egwene to go off and deliver a message to Queen Morgase. I think along the way, possibly not even getting out of Tar Valon before he realises or before he hears about a plot which is going to affect Egwene, Nynaeve and Elaine, and he is going to chase off after them across the Westlands to get to Falme, and he's there going to reunite with Perrin. He's going to be healed by then, but that still lets him be the one who sounds the horn, as he was at the end of Book 2. I think that's an important part of his character. I think that would actually be really important for him to do. I do kind of miss him sort of scaling the Stone of Tyr with the Aiel in tow that we have at the end of The Dragon Reborn, but we can't have Matt be in two places. He's either going to be at Tommen Head to blow the horn, or he's going to be at Tyr to help Rand. And as things stand at the moment, I can see a justification, I can see a plot line which would drive him towards Tommen Head, because he needs to rescue the girls, or he feels he needs to rescue the girls. They will, of course, rescue themselves, just like they do in the books. But I can absolutely see that being a logical path for him to follow, whereas going to Tyr, I'm not sure it necessarily really follows for him. By the way, I didn't say this, but I think we're probably dropping portal stones and other worlds and flicker. I don't think we're getting any of that stuff in here. It's a shame to miss it out, but it can be excised fairly easily from the story without really affecting the overall arching plot. And we are going to need to jettison stuff, just as we did in Season 1. There are lots of stuff we're just going to have to cut out completely because we just don't have room. We just don't have time, because they're still talking about doing 8 episodes in Season 2, I believe, and we're talking about doing 2 books of material in that time. There is a lot which is going to have to get cut. And just a brief word about Ishi. We're only going to get one confrontation. We're not going to get the confrontation over Falme and another one over Tyr. We're just going to get the one confrontation. And this is where Rand is going to kill Ishamael at the end of Season 2. That's going to confirm that he was not the Dark One, as Moiraine says at the end of Book 2, if I remember correctly. At the end of Book 3, sorry. The Dark One has no physical form. There is a corpse here. This person was not the Dark One. And that will confirm that this is not the Dark One after all, and that there is still more to come on that. And I think that's a good note to end Season 2 on. It does mean that the end of Season 2, I think, will not have the whole gang back together, because I think we're going to have two disparate groups. One subgroup off in Tyr, one subgroup off in on Elmouth Plain, Tom had Felm. I can't remember exactly which it is, but I think that we're going to be split up. And I think that the interesting thing is what they're going to do at the start of Season 3 to bring the groups together again. Possibly they're just going to simply have people travel to Tyr because Rand has been there and has declared himself. I think that would make a certain amount of sense. One final thing that I have, it's not speculation, it's a question. I'm just curious whether they will talk about politics in Cairn, if we go there, as being the game of houses. Because I think, although Jordan was there first, I think a lot of people are just going to assume that's ripping off Game of Thrones. So I suspect we won't get that phrase. Perhaps they'll just refer to it in the old tongue, which I will not attempt. Perhaps they will just talk. They'll not particularly talk about it at all. Perhaps they'll just say, oh God, they're always politicking in Cairn, and it may just leave it there. Anyway, that's it from me for today. I hope you enjoyed my look into the future. If you have any thoughts about what's definitely happening in Season 2 or what's definitely not happening in Season 2, let me know. Stick them in the comments. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. I will be back maybe towards the end of next week or early the week after, because I'm going to have one last Wheel of Time video on the channel before I'm going to take a break and talk about some of my other fandoms for a bit until we start getting a bit more Season 2 news to check in with. But until then, I will catch you next time. Cheers.